महाराज चित्रकेतु की
जय! All glories to चित्रकेतु महाराज! जय! All glories!
Maharaj, because of this valor of yours, all the 10 neighboring kings have finally accepted your subjugation, being afraid of facing your Kshatriya prowess on the battlefield.
In obedience with your supreme will, all the zamindars have happily agreed to share 3/4 of public taxes with the royal treasury, filling it with gold, silver and precious gems, making you even more opulent than your ancestors.
Indeed, Maharaj, by the blessings of Providence and your good deeds, you are successful in all spheres of life.
Yes, Maharaj. Under your able rule, we have received very good rainfall, due to which farmers have reported a bumper crop this year, stocking the fort granaries with 5 years of surplus stock of grains.
Maharaj, O representative of all the gods, you are the unrivaled sovereign ruler for the entire earth. May you be happy with all you have been bestowed with, and may the Praja rejoice under your able rule, O Rajan.
Thank you all very much for your wonderful support and good wishes. But what is the use of all this when I cannot even show my face to my ancestors? Oh my worshipable ancestors, this lowly Chitraketu has come today to express his sorrowful heart. It is only by your grace that I have received your legacy and such a large, prosperous kingdom. A dutiful king is indebted to his Praja and his Purvaj, and is responsible for their welfare. I know my Praja is happy, but my Purvaj are not happy. Since I have no son who can perform Shraddha Tarpan for their deliverance. So today this unfortunate Chitraketu has come to beg forgiveness from all of you for having failed in his sacred duty to have an heir to the throne and continue your lineage and your legacy.
Maharaj, the great sage Angira Muni has arrived.
Yes. Welcome, Munivar. A sadhu visiting someone's home is the greatest fortune for anyone. What are we householders without blessings of great sadhus like you? Please bless us.
Oh, blessed king, you have an unrivaled kingdom, aristocracy, personal beauty, and youthful vigor. Yet, your pale countenance and the lines of worry on your forehead tell a different story. The smile on your lips don't reach your eyes. Your shoulders are drooping, as if you're carrying a great burden. You seem to be ridden by some deep, overwhelming anxiety and grief.
Oh Rishivar, oh all-knowing sage, my vast empire, boundless opulence, and millions of beautiful wives cannot fill the emptiness of my grief-stricken heart. For I have no son, I have no heir, Munivar. How will my forefathers and myself receive Pinda? And you know, Munivar, without Pindadan, we will all be destined to hellish existence. This thought is killing me day and night. Please do something, O Munivar. Oh merciful sage, please bless me with just one son. Just one son, Munivar. Just one son.
Hey Rajan, this world is like that. Even if you are served the most nectarian sweet rice, but if there is some sand in it, then it becomes unenjoyable. Even though you are destined to be childless in this life, I will give you the remnants of the sweet rice of the yajna performed by Twashta. Give it to your first wife, Kritadyuti, and she will bear a son for you.
Thank you very much, Munivar. Thank you very much.
But remember, he should be named Harshashok, for he will certainly be the cause of both your jubilation and lamentation.
Harshashok? What did he mean by that? Oh, maybe my son will be a little proud and disobedient. But that's all right. I can handle that. At least I'll have a son. I'll have a putra. I'll be father.
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
Maharaj, Maharani Kritadyuti has given birth to your Kuldeepak. बधाई हो महाराज, बधाई हो.
महाराज चित्रकेतु की जय, महारानी कृतद्युति की जय.
Congratulations, Maharaj! Congratulations!
Oh, what can I say? My joy knows no bounds. Harshashok, my son, my heir apparent, my Harshashok. Harshashok.
Oh, Harshashok, where are you hiding? I have personally prepared special sweet rice for you. I know you like sweet rice.
Of course. After all, he's born to you after eating that sweet rice.
Aha, there you are. Therefore, you're so sweet. I love you. I love you, my son. My son. My son Harshashoka. Come, sit. Take. Eat, beta. Eat. Our Rajavaidya was saying sweet rice is good for growing children. May you have a long, long life, my child.
महाराज चित्रकेतु पधार रहे हैं.
Oh, Harshashok, my child, my life. Kritadyuti, I cannot express to you how indebted I am to you. By bearing this special child, you are the cause of deliverance of all my worthy forefathers and myself. Harshashok will be my successor and happily rule this vast planet to fulfill all our desires. Kritadyuti, thinking of this, my heart's love for you swells like the high tide of a beautiful Purnima night.
Your words embarrass me, Maharaj.
No, Kritadyuti. You have given me something priceless that your 10 million co-wives could not give me.
Damn it! It is getting too much now. How long are we to suffer like this? Since this Harshashok is born, our king has not called us, not even looked at us.
He neglects us as if we do not even exist anymore.
Before this Harshashok came, he would call us, give us affectionate smiles. And now nothing? Why should a woman live without the love of her husband?
Maharaj's mouth is not drying, glorifying that Kritadyuti and enchanting the names of this Harshashok.
Intolerable! My heart burns day and night with anger, frustration, and envy.
I cannot go back to my father's place, and here I cannot get my husband's affection. I think I should consume poison and kill myself.
Why? Why should we consume poison? That sweet rice was cause of Harshashoka's life, and it will be the cause of his.
Why should 10 million souls suffer for one soul?
After all, everything is fair in love and war.
Why has Harshashok not yet gotten up? It is way beyond sunrise now. Why he is sleeping so long today?
Yesterday, he played a lot in the palace gardens and got so tired that he hardly ate anything last night. He just had sweet rice and slept. I will wake him up. Call the Rajvaidya.
What? What has happened?
Maharani, look! Look what has happened to our Rajkumar! This can't be, Maharani, this can't be!
Harshashok! Harshashok! No!
Maharani!
What has happened? What has happened to the prince?
Go! Inform the king immediately!
Yes.
Soon! No! This cannot be! Son, no! How unfortunate! Will I never see his smiling face again? Tell me, will I never hear his sweet voice again? Has my Harshashoka gone? Gone to another planet forever? Maharaj! Look, Maharaj! What has happened?
No! Nothing has happened, Kritadyuti. Come on, son. You are the apple of my eyes. You are the light of my life. You won't do this to your father. My Harshashok. I'll give you whatever you want. Come on, son. Go and play with your friends. Come on, Harshashok.
How will we live without Harshashok? Harshashok, my darling son, come back. Please come back. Just see, your beloved father is going mad in lamentation. No, you will not come back. Then what kind of a God is he who killed children in the lifetime of their parents? You are neither powerful nor merciful. Indeed, you are cruel. Why should anyone worship you?
Welcome, O great sage! You have certainly come in the hour of our greatest need. Please come.
Just see, Munivar, what cruel fate has done to me. How can the Almighty God do this to me? What a stroke of misfortune that the son is lying lifeless in front of his own father. I do not want to live anymore. I don't want to live anymore.
No, Maharaj! No, Maharaj!
How can we bear this misery? How can we?
Oh, cruel providence! What have you done to us? What have you done to us?
Oh, king, please come out of this ocean of lamentation. This body is temporary, and so are its relationships. What relationship does this dead body have with you? Did it exist in the past? Does it exist now? And will it continue to exist in the future?
Living entities, like the particles of sand and straw, sometimes come together, but by the forces of time, they are again separated. O great king, you, me, indeed all living entities are in a temporary state. Nothing is false, yet everything is temporary, and hence not worthy of grief.
I could have given you the transcendental knowledge when I came first. But at that time, you were too much hankering for a son. But today, your heart is ready to receive divine knowledge.
O living entity, just see your mother, your father, and all your relatives are overwhelmed by your untimely death. You may now re-enter this body to enjoy the remainder of your life in royal opulence. Rise, O child, rise.
According to the results of my karma, I, the living entity, has been transmigrated from one body to another, sometimes into species of demigods, plants, animals, or humans, in which birth with these my mother and fathers, for I have had millions of parents and millions of lifetimes.
Your realized words are like a torchlight illuminating my heart, overcast by dark, dense clouds of ignorance. Thank you for cutting off my shackles of material attachments, O Rishivar.
Thus, being enlightened by his son, Maharaj Chitraketu now accepted Sri Narad Muni as his spiritual master, who gave him a powerful mantra. Om Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya Namah Sankarshanaya Cha, chanting which he attained the holy darshan of Lord Sankarshan face to face and completely perfected his life by becoming situated in his original Krishna consciousness. He was then promoted to become the ruler of the planet of the Vidyadhars. Then one day, as he was traveling in outer space,
Oh, Mahadev! Jai! How wonderful it is that even though Lord Shiva is considered the spiritual master of the general populace, and he is the best of all performers of austerities, the foremost strict followers of Vedic principles, yet he is embracing his wife Parvati on his lap while sitting in the middle of great saintly persons. Jai!
Alas! Look at this upstart who has shamelessly self-appointed himself as the carrier of the rod of punishment. My husband, Lord Shiva, is personified religion and the guru of the entire world. And yet this impudent Kshatriya king speaks audaciously that which even Brahma or any other demigod would not dare to. O impudent one, for this grievous offense, I, Bhavani, curse you to take birth in the low-class sinful family of demons, so that you will learn not to ever commit such an offense against exalted personalities.
Oh, my dear mother, with folded hands, I wholeheartedly accept your curse upon my head. Even though you are now unnecessarily angry, I do not plead to be excused or relieved from your curse, since all happiness and distress are awarded to me as a result of my past activities. So, O worshipable mother, whatever you have wished for me, let it come to pass. Let it come to pass.
Narayana prasarve na kutascha na bibyati स्वर्ग अपवर्ग नरकेशु अपि तुल्यार्थ darshana. O beautiful Parvati, such are the servants of the Supreme Lord Sri Hari. They are not at all interested in any form of material happiness. They do not fear any conditions of life. For them, heaven, hell, or liberation, all are the same.
We now present the historical account of the celebrated Hallmark episode from the Bhagavad Mahapuran, which unfolds through this curse of Bhavani and depicts a pastime which exalts pure devotional service in sharp contrast to lesser forms of mixed devotion to Sri Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
All glories to Lord Indra, the Lord of all demigods.
Devadidev, all glories to you who defeated demons time and again.
All glories to you who gives rain and thus sustains life on earth.
O Mahendra, you have performed 100 unbeatable Ashwamedh Yagyas. No one can equal your beauty, your valor, and your strength.
Oh, see, Shri Bahaspati has arrived. But I don't think Indra has noticed.
No, he has seen him. But he is absorbed and infatuated with his own glorification and worship.
Just see how blinded my disciple has become. Indra has made a serious transgression of Vedic etiquettes. Even though he has seen his spiritual master enter his assembly, neither he stood up nor he offered a seat. I shall not curse him, but I will allow destiny to unfold according to the will of Providence.
Stop! Alas, what a regrettable deed I have committed today. Because of my pride, lack of intelligence, and being intoxicated by the material opulence, I have failed to show proper respect to my worshipable spiritual master. Thus, I have insulted him. Now, I shall bow my head at the lotus feet of my preceptor to satisfy him and beg his forgiveness.
In spite of Indra's rigorous search to find him, he could not find Brihaspati, for he had made himself invisible. Hearing about this news, on the other hand, the demons
Oh, esteemed Shukracharya! You are Trikal Gyani. Look at that Indra. He's in such a pitiable condition. He cannot find his Guru Brahaspati. But we demons, we don't have to find our Guru. Because he's always sheltering his disciples.
Oh, exalted Gurudev! Your power is invincible, for you can make even the dead alive.
Yes, Sanjeevani. The Mrita Sanjeevani mantra. Yes, yes. Let us serve our Guru to best of our capacity.
The demigods Guru has abandoned them. They are now without spiritual master. Brahaspati is invisible. They are now bereft of all means for achieving good fortune.
Yes, my dear Bali. Now is the right time, my son. Yes, now. Go and attack Indraloka. Usurp the throne of Indra and teach those demigods a good lesson. Do not fear. My blessings are always with you.
Yes, Gurudev. This is the opportunity we have been waiting for. Please bless us such that by your grace we can conquer our arch rival, the demigods.
Vijayi Bhava! Vijayi Bhava! Vijayi Bhava!
Soon, a great battle ensued between the demigods and the demons. As both sides locked themselves in a gruesome battle, the angered war goddess Ranchandika, who is the fearsome presiding deity of the battlefield, unleashed her dance of death and destruction. Gravely injured and lamenting over the loss of their positions, the demigods, headed by Indra, approached Lord Brahma.
Pahimam
Pitamaha! Pahimam Brahmadev!
Oh Brahmadev, we are defeated.
We are severely wounded.
We have lost all our opulences, prestige,
Save
and
us.
power.
Oh most intelligent one, save us.
O best of the celestials, all of you are like my own children. Therefore, I am pained to see you in this unfortunate condition. Listen carefully, O Indra. Having become weakened, due to your disrespectful behavior towards Brihaspati. You demigods are now easy targets for your eternal enemies, the demons, who are otherwise much weaker than you. They have gained superiority over you, having honored their Guru Shukracharya with much reverential worship. They can now even conquer my abode, Brahmaloka, if they so desire.
But how can we overcome our miseries now, Brahmadev?
Please always remember, anyone who has determined faith in the mercy of the Brahmins, the cows, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who always worship them are invincible and unconquerable. Now, immediately go and approach Vishvarup, the son of Twasht. He is a very learned, powerful, and a qualified Brahman. Accept him as your Guru. Worship him with prayers and praises. He will fulfill all your desires, provided you tolerate the fact that he is also inclined to favor the demons.
Oh dear Vishwarup, we have come to your ashram as guests. So please fulfill our request as a matter of duty. For we have been defeated by our enemies and are greatly aggrieved. We ask for your help as we are on a level of your parents. Kindly accept the position of our priest so that by the strength of your austerities, we may easily defeat the demons.
I welcome you all to my small ashram, O exalted universal commanders, and thank you for your kind words. Although accepting priesthood causes a loss of one's Brahminical prowess, I am like your disciple and cannot refuse your request. I will perform the yajna for you. O Lord of the demigods Indra, please hear carefully this Narayana Kavacha mantra, which I have specifically composed for your protection, will empower your body and your carriers. It will make you invincible by any mortal weapon and bestow all victory upon you. May Lord Ramachandra, along with his brother Lakshman, protect us in foreign countries. Swaha! May Kurmadev protect me from falling into hellish planets. Swaha! May the Supreme Personality of Godhead protect us at all times with his 8 arms, holding the 8 different kinds of weapons. O King of sharp-edged swords, please cut the soldiers of our enemies to pieces. Cut them to pieces! Cut them to pieces! Swaha! Cover the eyes of my enemies! Pluck out their sinful eyes! Swaha! All these oblations are for the demigods. But since I'm related to the demons, also from my mother's side, I must offer some oblations for them too. Om Keshwaya Namaha Swaha. Om Narayana Namaha Swaha. Om Bali Rajaya Namaha Swaha. Om Madhusudanaya Namaha Swaha. Om Vamanaya Namah Swaha. Om Viprachitta Namah Swaha. Om Namoche Namah Swaha. Om Vikshvakshenaya Namah Swaha.
Devendra, he's also secretly offering oblations to the demons.
Vishnu, you traitor!
When Vishwarup's father Twashta understood this by his mystic prowess,
You ungrateful rascal! You call yourself king of the demigods? Great misfortune that I have lost such a pious son like Vishwarup. I will certainly not tolerate this. I will take revenge for this ghastly act of cowardice. I shall perform a yajna, a mahayajna, and produce a being who will be the cause of the death of Indra. Indra Shatru! Indra Shatra Vivardasva! Indra Shatru! Indra Shatra Vivardasva! Indra Shatru! Indra Shatra Vivardasva!
Oh no! Twashta Rishi has chanted one mantra longer instead of short, which means that now the being will be created, which will be killed by Indra instead of killing Indra. What a mistake! What a mistake!
Oh Lord! Who is this creature? Just see! He looks ferocious! Tall, blackish, like a burnt hill! Just look at his beard and mustache! It looks like melted copper!
What piercing eyes! He has a blazing trident too!
His shouts are making the whole earth tremble! All our weapons are useless against him. He has swallowed them all. He is mercilessly attacking us. His name is Vitra, the one who covers everything.
Yes, he is the demon, Vitrasura! who will save us from him?
I see no other shelter than Lord Narayan. My dear Lord, you are the giver of the result of sacrifices. You are the time factor that destroys all. Now please arrange for our protection. Rakshaman Prabhu! Rakshaman! Mahimam Prabhu! My lord, we have nothing to offer but our obeisances. You released the chakra that kills demon. You have come as Narsim, Varaha, Vaman in the past to save your devotees. We implore you to please save us from this terrible demon Vritrasura.
My dear demigods, I am pleased by your prayers. These prayers are the source of devotional service unto me. There is a very great sage, the Dadichi Muni. He has become very powerful because of his knowledge and austerity. Go and approach him. Ask for his bones. Vishwakarma will create a weapon out of his bones, which will then kill Vritrasura. I will personally endure it with my own strength.
Oh, Venerable Sage Dadichi, we have come to you as beggars being sent here by Sri Vishnu himself. We are in a desperate emergency situation being faced with imminent death. Please give us charity. Please.
Charity? What charity can a poor homeless ascetic give the exalted managers of universal affairs?
Your body, Maharshi, your body.
My body? You must be joking. I am sure you know the unbearable mortal pain at the time of death. My body is as dear to me as yours is to you. So why would I give up my only prized possession in sacrifice, even if Sri Vishnu has asked for it? And also, my body is thin and frail. What use is it to you anyways?
O exalted sage, what possession, however valuable, will a selfless sage of your caliber not give away if it is for Parokar and Jagat Kalyan? By dint of having assimilated deep spiritual knowledge and execution of severe vows of austerity, your body is now suitable instrument in the hands of God himself to help him execute his supreme will.
I was just testing you. This impermanent body is fuel for fire, food for the worms, jackals and vultures. Paradukha Dukhi and Parasukha Sukhi is the highest imperishable principle of dharma for all pious and benevolent souls. Either today or tomorrow, my body will leave me anyways. Therefore, it is better that it is utilized in the service of Sri Hari.
Soon a fierce battle between the determined demigods and belligerent demons ensued. Indra now shone very brilliantly with the divine thunderbolt weapon in his hand, and attacked the demon headed by Vritrasur with renewed confidence and strength. Then, in spite of deploying all possible mystical tricks and weapons, the demon chief saw that their attack had proven ineffective and powerless. They began to run in fear.
Run! Run!
Stop, you fools! Namuji! Holy Sambara! Oh, unworthy sons of your mothers! Why do you flee like this in fear? Brave men die only once and gain the heavenly planets. But cowards die an inglorious death every day. So return to the battlefield and boldly face your worthy enemies. And you, demigods, aren't you ashamed of attacking your enemies from behind? Who amongst you is willing to face me?
Sure, Vritrasur. Let none of your desires remain unfulfilled.
What good fortune, Indra, that you stand before me today. Now I shall avenge the death of my brother Vishwaroop by piercing your heart with this invincible trident of mine.
Stop bragging, you demon. This is battlefield. Don't talk empty words. Real Kshatriya talk with their weapons. You hideous demon, your time is now over. Your end will be with my hands. Now, try and face my mighty club!
Keep your club, Indra. You and your club both are insignificant. But don't be morose, Indra. Pick up the Vajra, because it is not yours. It has the potency of Dadichi's austerity and Lord Vishnu's grace. So pick up the Vajra and kill me, Indra, and deliver me from this demoniac body.
Vritrasur!
You're going to win the battle, Indra, and will have to continue go on suffering and worrying about protecting your kingdom. I am going to die today and going back to spiritual world. So who is going to be the actual winner, Indra? Defeat me, and I will obtain the supreme victory. Your killing me will help me achieve my only desire to be the servant of my Lord Sankarshan Dev.
Oh, great demon Vritra. All demons I have encountered till now are steeped in ignorance. But you have amazed me by being in the wretched demonic body, and yet your consciousness is fixed in pure devotion to Sri Hari. You are a divine demon, Vritrasur. A divine demon. However, let us continue to fight, for we both have shackled by the chains of our God-given prescribed duties.
Yes, Indra. Success and failure are immaterial. So pick up the Vajra and fight with faith.
All right. Now take this!
Well done, Indra, well done! Oh, my lotus-eyed lord. Just as helpless, hungry birds wait for their mother bird to feed them, as small calves anxiously wait the time of milking, or as chaste morose wife longs for the return of her good husband, so also my heart yearns anxiously to render loving service unto you. I am ready, my lord. Please take me.
With his empowered Vajra in hand, Indra struggled for 1 full year to sever the thick neck of Vritrasur's gigantic body. Even though externally his body lay motionless in a state of deep samadhi, his brilliant soul had already crossed the cloud of Paravyoma to enter the eternal realm of Vaikuntha, where he saw his Lord face to face. Through the curse of Mother Parvati, the merciful Lord had orchestrated that Chitraketu Maharaj gets this body of a divine demon Vritrasur so that he can cut short his material sojourn and accelerate his journey back home, back to Godhead.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.